Monica. We are so glad having you here. Thank you for receiving and responding to our invitation. You know that we have this elevation project for lawyers, and now today I want to speak especially regarding the women lawyers, you know, and I know you have your expertise in this field and you work with women, and you can be so big resource for human lawyers. So please, short introduction about yourself, what you do, and after we're gonna go forward.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me on here. It's definitely an honor, and you know, any platform, any chance to discuss women and their health and their healing and their happiness, I'm in, and I love to be a part of it. So my background is I'm an occupational therapist, and I have a private practice where I work mainly with, well, I work with all ages and male and female, but I do have a specialty working with women's health and their pelvic floor health specifically. So anything dealing with pelvic floor area, from being pregnant, trying to get pregnant, to pain in that area, to things that we deal with as women from an early age into an elderly age. So I also do a type of body work to work with pain and posture and PTSD and pregnancy as well, very hands-on tissue work. And then I work with a global hemp company, and you'll see how that plays into everything that I like to do with women. And then I'm also in the health and life coach field, with working with women, just trying to get them to feel and be their best selves in this crazy world we are living in. So that's my story.
This craziness that you can imagine, because women, they are trying to become men today, you know, and it's kind of such a conflict between being a real you, like feminine energy, bringing to a profession, and what the outward request is. Yes.
So true.
It's and to tell you a little bit about our struggles, I mean, in the law field, as women, they have a lot of struggles, because they always want to compensate, and they want to, you know, give, you know, because they, in the work, not from their feminine energy, but in the masculine, they try to, they're kind of, they are mirroring the men's, and they want to engage more masculine energy, and they go to the competition. So a lot of suppression, and the pressure, it's increasing. And I imagine this has a big impact to the body, you know, and I think this is the worst things could happen, you know, when you go against your nature. Yeah, you can tell us better what is happening when is this conflict in a woman body?
Well, I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is like the gist of everything. And in my work recently with some of my mentors, most of our training has been around how to embody ourselves, our womanhood, and bring that to the workforce. The one company that I work with is an MLM company, and it is run by men, but it's mostly women. And we're out in the field as entrepreneurs trying to do our thing, right? And most women are going to try to go out there and hustle like a man does. And what they talk about and what they found is women do it differently. If we go out and we try to do that energy, we're not going to get the same response that a man does. We work more by receiving and manifesting and bringing in, and just being that the mothering nature, nurture human beings that we are. When we offer those services, that's when things start to come to us. So I've done a lot of training under that, which works so well with the training that I've done as an occupational therapist with a pelvic floor specialty. And the reason for that is, what I find in working with women is they are not connected to their pelvic floor at all. That's a space of creativity, because it's creating, but it's also our creative center where ideas come from. There's a whole psychosomatic a rabbit hole we could go down where your ovaries represent different things. One is things that you need to do, and one that things that you need to know. And if we're not tuned into these areas, then we're missing out on so many gifts that our body and our spirit have to offer, right? So how women, if they just go into the workforce and try to do it like the men, you know, we're getting trained by men to do this, and when we go into it that way, we're missing out on so many opportunities and so many gifts that are innately, you know, belong to us, and that would provide us the resources and the information that we need to go out there and to build businesses and to take care of our body at the same time. So what's happening is not only are we missing out on these opportunities if we don't understand that a woman works differently in the work field, then we also are disconnecting from our bodies, particularly from our pelvic floor area. And the reason for this is our pelvic floor area, or pelvic bowl, let's call it, which is going to involve basically from your diaphragm down to your seat and out to the sides of your hips. Okay, that whole area, so many important vital organs in there, but our pelvic bowl gets completely ignored and disconnected. And that's such a misfortunate thing, because our uterus, and even if you no longer have a uterus, that energy in that area is our creative area that still is trying to send us messages and still is trying to give us information, right? And it's something we can tap into for our resources. Same with our ovaries. Our ovaries have different meanings as well. We can go down a rabbit hole of a lot of psychosomatic and cool energy stuff, but even just to keep it very simple, like, this is our creativity. This is where we create from. And if we are disconnected from this, we're missing out on a lot of opportunities to flourish for ourselves, but also we're allowing opportunities for a lot of physical symptoms to occur. When you're not connected with certain parts of your body, that part of your body is going to say, hello, I need some attention here, you know? And if we're not listening, it's going to start knocking louder and louder and louder. And, you know, it's unfortunate that a lot of women wait until their body is screaming for their attention. But it's also because we don't know, right? We don't know, we don't learn, particularly in our culture, to embrace this part of our body and stay connected to it. We get our menstruation, our moon cycle at a young age, and often it's annoying and it's painful, and we just are like, I have to deal with this, and then we're pregnant. A lot of women are so uncomfortable when they're pregnant, and so then it just becomes this whole thing. And then afterwards, your bladder's leaking and different things are occurring that weren't occurring before, and you're told, you know, it's because you had a baby, it's because you had a woman. And that was my story, and how I got into all this was I had painful issues around my pelvic floor, and I was told by 5 different OBGYNs that my diagnosis is I'm a woman. And so I just have to find a comfortable position to have intercourse, to be intimate, right? And I started getting into this work and delving into it and getting treated myself, and I found out that actually I had pain because I had a ruptured appendix when I was 11, and the scar tissue had bined out and wrapped around my tailbone. And so this was creating physical pain for me, right? It wasn't because I was a woman. And so I had to connect with this area and start working on it and release that scar tissue to find out that I didn't have to have pain with women's issues. And so what I find is so many women are disconnected from this area and this power that they hold in this area, that then the physical symptoms are coming up. And but there's so much that can be done from it and learned from it. The main thing that I teach in 3 different areas, I find that there's 3 different areas that women can really use to keep themselves healthy and to work through stress, because there's going to be stress, right? We can't just shield ourselves from it, but we can protect ourselves from it, like becoming part of us and taking over. And one of there's 3 areas is the mindset, and I'm sure you guys are very familiar with, and movement, and medicine. And by medicine, I mean what we put in our bodies: nutrients, food, supplements, possibly medicine too. Pharmaceutical medicine sometimes is needed. So these are the 3 areas that I look at and work with that I think are so important. But what is needed in all 3 of these areas is getting our body out of fight or flight and into rest and digest. So a lot of people are probably familiar with the terms of the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. So getting out of sympathetic, which is fight or flight, like we're in this constant running from the tiger. There's a great book, Peter Levine's Awakening the Tiger, that it's so good. And I have his second book now, and I haven't gotten to it yet, but I can't wait to read that one. But you know, we're in this running from the tiger, and we don't even realize it. And it could be from trauma, it could just be from, you know, heightened stress that we put ourselves in. There's many different reasons. Even nutrition can play a role in that.
We have done the first course with somatic experience with him.
Oh, so awesome. So awesome. I mean, that stuff is just.
I mean, all knowledge we know through all the coaching, hypnosis, yoga, everything we've done.
It all comes together with that.
When I realized how simple it is to adjust, and with the simplicity, I mean, you know,
of awareness.
Yes, and something. I mean, I was, oh my God, it's so simple.
Why we are not doing like in the school, in the first class?
It blows my mind. And this is all stuff, obviously, I didn't learn in school. It was outside of schooling. And it's, you know, what we always say, okay, so I do structural work with people, right? But you cannot not address the deeper cell level memory and what's holding on if you're doing structural work, deep structural work, right? And so it's important to understand that when you put your hands on somebody's body, or when somebody's going within and trying to calm down, like, you're going to have stuff come up that's been sitting in there. And this is the stuff that we need to get up and get out of our bodies, right? And get ourselves into that rest and digest. And the reason that's so important is we know our bodies are designed to heal itself, right? But it can't heal itself when it's running from the tiger 24/7. So when it's in this fight or flight, we need to rest and digest. Parasympathetic takes over, your body starts being able to heal itself. So I work with, you know, my hands as a modality. I work with hemp oil as a modality, and all these things we don't say are going to cure. I don't tell somebody come to get cured by me. I say, take this or use my hands to help facilitate your body into that rest and digest, so then it can work its way through its healing, and it can tell you what it needs and what it needs you to do.
I think we have to announce to our audience that we're going to prepare a workshop where we put together all these skills like mindset, body awareness, and nutrition, and the healing through the hemp and CBD. And we are looking forward for question and from the lawyers to ask women in general, to ask more questions, because this pelvic floor, it's so important. As I understood, you know, this is our kind of roots, you know, everything comes from there. If we are not taking care of our roots, we are so much disconnected from our nature. And, you know, the polarization, it's so dysfunctional. So we have to work on this in order to bring more balance and to bring more, you know, harmony, success and
absolutely success and balance. I mean, who doesn't want more of that? You know, right? And joy, because and that comes with balance as well. But it's you know, the pelvic floor too is not just our genitals. You know, sometimes we're like, pelvic floor, what's, you know, when people are like, you do what? But that also involves our intestinal system, right? Our bowels, bowel and bladder. And how many people do we see with gut issues these days, right? It's at least 80-90% of the people that walk in my office have gut issues, and I end up working in the abdominal area. So say that again?
Because it's the second brain.
Exactly. It's the second brain. This needs to be healthy. It's at least 80% of our immunity, right? And who doesn't need immunity right now? You know, we needed it before, but we really need it now, right? Yeah. So our food, particularly here in the States, but you know, there's just so many, I could go down more rabbit holes with that. But
I know you are in a hurry. And,
yeah, no, that's okay. It's just the gut is so important, and then the intestines. Like the bottom line is, women do not need to suffer because they're women. And having been told that for so many years and buying into that, when I discovered that, I was like, okay, I'm on a mission to let us know we don't have to have painful periods. We don't have to have leaky bladders because we had children. We don't have to suffer from this or that, or have painful sex and just deal with it, right? Like that's BS. like these things can be addressed, and it can be pretty simple. It's not like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna have to do? I don't have any extra time in the day. 5 minutes a day can change your body by getting it in that, you know, even just with breathing. The most simple exercise is breathing. That takes care of your movement. The diaphragm, one of the largest muscles, that takes care of your mindset because it puts you into your rest and digest, right? And that's some of the best medicine because that's going to help your digestive system when you're breathing, to help get that movement in your gut to help absorb your food better. So just simple breathing is one of the most simple exercises that we can do. And if you guys,
I'm glad
yeah.
you mentioned, because I wanted to give a little bit tips how it's a little bit how you can start bringing this balance and to being more aware about your pelvic system and the body in general. And what you said, and it's amazing, you know, how your mission from the roots, your mission came, you know, I'm not a woman and I'm a woman, the bias, you know, because also, I don't know if you know, but when you speak with women lawyers, they said, I'm a lawyer, you know, I'm a lawyer, I have to do this, I have to work like this, I have to behave, I have to be aggressive, I have to be single, you know, I have to, everything, yes, seriously, when you ask the women, no, I'm a lawyer, you know.
Yeah, you know how many women they are, I mean, single, and they are married, they go in divorce after 1 or 2 years because they can handle this unbalanced life between personal and professional life.
And see, but there is such beauty that they can have that balance. They can be that strong, successful, driven woman, but they can also do that coming from a place of their womanhood, because we know that women's strength is like surpass anything. I mean, come on, women have babies. Women are the, you know, the glue that keeps everything together. Yeah. If that doesn't take strength, then I don't know what does. So they can have that balance. And what's that?
Women can understand men.
And they can understand men. Men can't understand us. So, I mean, we've got it all going here. And so we can do that. But then when we shut the doors from the office and come home, to have that femininity, to have that receptiveness, to take care of our bodies and have that balance, it's a beautiful thing. And both are so possible. And one of my greatest mentors, and you know, we can talk about that later, I can give some references, is a very strong woman who has built her business. But what she realized early on was that I have to do this from the womanhood. I can't do this from a man's way. And she was able to have that and still have that femininity. And, you know, just, you know, as Brene Brown talks about, it's like that vulnerability too. Like that takes strength to have that. And so when I walk in the door of my house versus the office, like it's all about like, bring it on, bring it to me, because I am the woman here and, you know, I can receive. And that was another thing. It took me many, many years to believe that it was okay for me to receive, right? And so I would push it hard in other ways and realize that that wasn't working until I said, no, I'm worthy of receiving, and I want that. I need that feminine. I was such a tomboy, and I was such a, you know, just I wanted to break all the rules just to prove that I was a strong woman, right? And I now realize that I don't. Yeah, and you know this, and I know you know this, and it's like, wow, when I realized there's such a womanly way to do that, a feminine way to do that, and it's so much more powerful, and it feels so good to be balanced and enjoy both worlds, that successful, driven, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm single. But you know what? I was really sick of being single. It was a signal that I didn't need to be single, and, you know, to bring that, oh no, you know, to have a nice, strong man who appreciates how a woman works and helps and feeds into that in such a healthy, positive way. Wow, what a difference that makes.
Yes.
So these are definitely things that little girls aren't taught. You know, they're seeing all the signs of I've got to do this and I've got to do that, and instead of, ooh, how can I do this from my, you know, who I am as a woman.
But you know what?
And my body healthy at the same time that way.
Yeah,
which goes back to the work that I do.
The problem is, I think you mentioned about the little girl. The problem, I think the little girl, because she was told when she was little, I think she remained a little girl until she's, you know, and this conflict between little girl and women, because little girl is still searching about this validation, this appreciation, this, you know, awareness, what it is to be woman, you know.
Right.
So I think in our webinar, for sure, we're going to have a part where we talk about this conflict between the little girl and the woman within.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Because our little girl is in there like, oh, you know, and she's got a lot to tell us, and we've got a lot to tell her. Like, wow, I'm safe now. Like, I'm so sorry that I didn't see you, but it's like, we weren't taught that, right? And so how can we change that, and how can we change the messages that we're giving? And there's wonderful women doing it, and we all really want this balance and want this health for our bodies. And I love being a part of it. And I look back at my journey, I'm like, all right, I understand now why I went through this, or I went through that. And I'm going to jump back. We were talking about some of the things you can do in that breathing. So the important thing about the breathing is, it's not just breathing, because some of us are, you know, this is how we're breathing up here, but it's breathing and moving that diaphragm. But we also have another diaphragm in our pelvic floor. Our pelvic floor muscles are like a sling, like a hammock. So it's another diaphragm. So when we're filling up our diaphragm under our ribs, we're also moving our pelvic floor diaphragm. And this massages everything in between.
Excuse me, you mean like a mula bandha to keep up?
But that is something important in it. But no, for this one, I'm talking about when you breathe, we fill up our abdomen, right? Then we know that, I'm going to bring this down a little bit. So we know, right. So you know, when you're breathing, you're filling up your, I don't even know if you can see me here. You're filling up your, diaphragm, sorry, I'm getting myself all, and it's moving like this, but there's one at our pelvic floor that is moving too. So when I suggest breathing like that, I say fill up, put your hands, one on your abdomen and one right here at your pelvis. And then you're going to fill up your first hand in your abdomen, but also continue filling up. So you feel like you're filling up your pelvic floor, like you're filling up right to what you're sitting on. And I like to think of those long, skinny balloons that they take and they make into animals. And I just picture one of those, and I'm just filling that up through my abdomen, then through my pelvic floor, and then releasing. Because we don't breathe into that pelvic floor, and we need to move that muscle to keep everything moving and juicy and strong, because if it's not moving, it doesn't have strength. A muscle that's just stuck like this, instead of these nice fibers that move, it will not have the strength. It needs that full movement to have full strength, right? So just a few deep breaths like that can throw you into the parasympathetic, the rest and digest, and nourish your body so much. So that's one of my main things.
Excuse me, it's good to tell to our audience, when you work, you take like a small break, you know, for
absolutely.
And you do that. It's so helpful.
I say every 20 minutes do that. Even get up and just move, because when you're sitting, your hamstrings are actually, the muscles are actually shortening, because they're trying to be efficient, right? And they're like, okay, we're sitting for 8 hours a day. Let's shorten and be a little more efficient. And then when we stand up, they're connected to the pelvic floor. And so then they're pulling. So then you're feeling it in your pelvic floor, or you're feeling it in your back, or you're getting symptoms in these areas. So we need to get up and break that pattern at least every 20 minutes. Just stand a little bit, do the standing desk if you can, put a tennis ball or a ball under your hamstrings while you're sitting for long periods of times to try to help keep them open. But just get up and move your body to break that pattern. And then a third thing is gratitude. And it's like it's a buzzword. People know this now, but if you really take the practice of gratitude, it is mind-blowing how it changes things. And so what I try to do every morning and every night when I'm trying to get out of bed, I really like sleeping in my cozy bed, but I'll hit the alarm and I'll say, okay, I've got the next, I think it's 7 or 8 minutes to really just start my day out with gratitude. And I'll come up with 3 things in my personal life, 3 things in my work life, and 3 things that I'm grateful for that I want to see happen. So I'm going to assume they're already happened. I'm going to bring them in by saying, thank you that I'm going to receive this. And thank you that you're going to bring this person in my life and things like that. So I do the 3-3-3, but just finding gratitude. And then even in situations where we'll call it a major crisis or something, you know, in whether in the work, and it's like, why is this happening? Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? I'll always say, thank you that this is happening to me, because I know there's a lesson in here. And if I can see what the lesson is, I'll say thank you for that. And if I don't see it, you know, through my grit and grime, and I don't know why this is happening, I'll be like, thank you for this. I know there's a lesson. Thank you. And I know I'm going to find it out. And I know it's cliche, but oh my gosh, that has like, I've had a situation recently with a friend, and it was really just like, I didn't see any way out of it. And I didn't see where I was the person that needed to do any, you know, apologizing or anything, but I just kept telling myself every day, I'm thankful that this has happened, because I know there's valuable lessons in this. And it really just changes the way that you approach it, and it makes things clearer, and it makes it so much easier to get through it to the other side and see what that lesson was about. So gratitude is just, I mean, I can't say enough about it. I'm so thankful for it.
It's like a blooming the flower within,
Yes.
and the flower,
Yes.
you know, the woman in us, you know, because
Absolutely. The lotus flower,
I
which
was
represents women. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the lotus, there's a beautiful story. My friend painted that for me, actually. And there's a beautiful story about the lotus itself, because it comes out of the mud, right? And it still emerges and grows.
like a phoenix.
And it's, you know, we're coming out of the mud that we got stuck in somehow. And we won't even go into how we got there, but you know, we're emerging, and how beautiful each and every one of us are coming out of there.
To add something to your tips, that it's 4 things that I think is the most important one. You know, it is practice.
Yes.
Practice.
Yes.
Practice. And be
Yeah.
curious. What is
Yes.
there? Just be curious. You know, let's practice 1, 2, 3.
And ask for help, because we think we
Yes.
can do everything, especially women lawyers. I can do it, but we need help. We need somebody to be in our journey, because it's something that you feel safe. You feel like you are hold somebody's holding space for you. It's so important.
Well, it's that community, right? Even if the community is one person, so important. And I've found that out, and I've found a community in one of the jobs. I don't even want to call it a job, because that sounds like, you know, it's not even a job to me. I wake up and I'm just doing it as part of my life, and it's amazing. But I have a community of people, of like-minded people that are there to support me, to give me some ideas if I need to vent, if I need to cry, or if they need to, and I need to be the listener, which is super important for us to do as well, right? So having that person asking for help from people that you know have been through it and have those skills. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is everything. And trying to do it on your own, yay for you, hooray, but guess what, you're gonna need help sooner or later, or you know, if you don't get that help, you're just, it's gonna be unfortunate that you didn't take that opportunity, because women together as a community, this is how we've always done it. I mean, the women in the communities, in cultures, you know, past, it's like they did everything, and they raised all the children and did everything, you know, and just did everything. So it's a community thing. So it's super, super important to be open to that, and again, receiving that help, because that's what we do best as women is receive. And, you know, if we're just giving, it's that old, you know, if your glass is so empty that you're giving, because you're giving, you know, then you're empty. You know, we got to have that balance. You cannot,
you know, each of us is their own turn. Yeah.
Yes. Love it.
Love it.
Thank you so much. So I'm looking forward to organize our workshop, and thank you so much for your resources.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting the word out there. You say that again. Sorry.
Where can people find you if somebody is curious about your work?
So my website is headtosoul.net. So HEAD, the number 2, SOUL.net. Headtosoul.net. Yeah, that's the main one right now. And then there'll be some news. I've got a nonprofit that's working with children and women particularly children and women that have been sexually exploited or abused. And so I will be linking that to that page, because anybody that, you know, just wants to give back, and, you know, I think that's one of the most important areas. If we can give back and help women who need our help right now, who don't have these tools that we have all been given, or we are all being knowledgeable of, then, you know, that's a great way to support there too. So
I'm so glad when I see people caring about children, because especially we, like women, we have this gift of being mothers, and we always can help many children. We have our foundation Be Different, and we also work helping education children, because it's so important. It's our hope.
it's our hope, it's our future. Absolutely, 1000%. So awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much.
So much, Erica. It was amazing seeing you, and with the flower, and have a flower. So see you soon.
See you soon,
Okay,
and let's get together soon.
Yes.
I would love that. Love that. Anytime.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.